Hello guys, welcome to my channel Lucid Fanfic, and if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest videos. So be sure to stick around until the end, and let's get started. After winning the sports festival, Izuku and his mom celebrated his victory and enjoyed the next few days. When returning to UA, Izuku felt a bit lazy, and it was raining, so decided to take the train instead of running. A decision which he came to appreciate and forever commit to his memory. "Excuse me, but are you Izuku Midoriya?" An old man in his 60s asked as he approached Izuku. "Yes, I am Izuku Midoriya. Why do you ask?" Izuku replied, confused at the man's presence. "My name is Toma Takahashi, and my grandson is also quirkless." The man states. "Really?" Izuku asks, now rather curious. "Yes, indeed. And you see he loves heroes, but was afraid that he couldn't be one without a quirk. But after seeing you, he's been more determined than ever," Takahashi states, causing Izuku's emotions to well up. "Wait, really? I inspired him?" Izuku asked as he held back tears of joy. "Yes, you did, and I was wondering if you signed something for him," Takahashi requested as he pulled out a hero signature booklet exactly the same as the Izuku got when he was. "I took this from his room after he left for school, and I was hoping you could sign it for him," Takahashi requested. Of course, I'm anything for a fan. What's his name?" Izuku replied as he pulled out a pen. "Issei Takahashi." The old man replied as Izuku began signing the book. He wrote, "To my first fan, Issei Takahashi. Remember, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. Sincerely, Izuku Midoriya." Later on, this very book would sell for well over 500 million yen, due to Izuku signing it. UA Gate. After the train ride, Izuku said goodbye to kindly old man and walked to the gates as a new thought entered his head. Iida. He'd disappeared at the sports festival, and Izuku had found out why. The day after the sports festival, Izuku was online reading the news and saw something that made him worry about his friend Ingenium had been attacked and crippled by Stain, the hero killer. That headline wasn't anything new as of recently. The hero killer had been all over the news for a few months now. He'd started out as a boogeyman who killed a few heroes in the top 500, but recently had been caught on camera like a cryptid killing a hero in the top 100. And now he'd crippled a hero in the top. As Izuku approached the gate, he saw Yururika holding an umbrella, waiting for him, and Iida. "Midoriya, you're here. Did you hear about what happened to Iida's brother?" she asked cautiously. "Yeah, I did, and it's horrible. I can't imagine what Iida's going through right now," he replied. "I know. I just hope he's going okay. I wish we could help him," she replied in a soft and kindly voice. "You'll get your chance soon than you think," he replied as his subtlety pointed behind her, causing her to turn and see her friend in a raincoat. "Hey there, Iida. I know you're probably done with hearing this, but I'm sorry about what happened to your brother. If you need anything at all, whether it's a shoulder to cry on or a guy to spar with to vent so anger, just ask," Izuku states as he offered Iida his hand to shake. "You are very kind, Midoriya, but I must decline, as I am perfectly all right. My brother's injury was tragic, but there was nothing I could do. Now let us enter. A hero must always endeavor to arrive early," the speedster replied, robotically ignoring his friend's hand. "It's worse than I thought," Izuku whispered to Yururika. "What makes you say that? He seems okay to me," she replied. "You can't sense killing intent," Izuku replies as he saw Iida's aura raging like an inferno. 1A homeroom. As the three of them entered their homeroom, the atmosphere was tense. Eraser then arrived, having finally recovered from his injuries, and began taking roll call. "Wait, sir, what about Bakugo?" Kirishima asked, noting the blonde's absence. "Bakugo has been removed from the hero course. However, he is still in UA," Eraser replies to everyone's surprise and anger. "But he used illegal drags to cheat in the tournament. Shouldn't he have been expelled?" Yaoyorozu stated indignantly. "Yes, he should have been expelled, but somehow a bunch of lawyers caught wind of his imminent expulsion and stopped us. He's currently in general education, as well as under observation and on probation," Eraser replies, hiding his anger. Flashback. Eraser, Nizu, Chiyo, and Tsukachi all loomed over Bakugo in the medbay. He was about to expel the young man with the dean's permission, but before they could, the doors were flung open, and a small army of lawyers walked in, led by a representative of the HPSC, who told them they couldn't expel Bakugo. Tsukachi and Chiyo immediately protested, stating that he'd used trigger and almost OD'd from it, which was so completely illegal he'd be lucky to avoid being thrown in prison. The women pushed back with a bunch of technical jargon that made his hatred of lawyers increase severely. In the end, the women stopped them from expelling and imprisoning Bakugo, but couldn't stop him from being shunted down to general education on probation. Bakugo was assigned an officer to monitor him and was told that if he wanted to re-enter the hero course, he'd have to pass his finals. None of the teachers or present officers liked this, but they had no other choice but to agree. End of flashback. Speaking of general education, you can enter now. Eraser stated as the door opened, revealing a familiar face. Hello, I'm Chikuchi Toki. My quirk is Aqua Hand, and I'm happy to finally be in the hero course. Please, take care of me. The latest addition to their class states as she introduced herself with a bow. The class greeted her warmly, especially people like Mina, who didn't hold grudges, and Kirishima, who was always happy to meet new people. Toki then took her seat, and Eraser continued. Moving on, today we have a special hero informatics course. First, however, I need to show you the offers you've received as a result of your performances at the sports festival. Eraser explained as the chalkboard rotated and the screen activated, showing the results. Todoroki, 2,749. Midoriya, 982. Yaoyorozu, 801. Iida, 563. Toki, 209. Kirishima, 198. Uraraka, 77. Ashido, 53. Jiro, 14. Normally the results are more evenly distributed, but this year, as you can see, that is not the case. Eraser explained. Wait, hold on. Midoribro won the festival, but he doesn't have the most? And Tokibro got third, yet only got a few more than me. Kirishima pointed out in confusion. It's probably because of my father's name that I got the most. As for Toki, it's probably because she is, or was, in general education. As for Midoriya, Todoroki pointed out bitterly. It's probably because I'm quirkless and the heroes don't want to risk it. Izuku stated bluntly. As for those haven't received any internship offers, don't worry, UA has partnered with over 40 additional hero agencies to provide you with experience and training. Other than Toki, who I'll personally be training for the next week to catch her up. Now remember, you have until the end of the week to pick your internship. Then give them to either me or your class representative for approval. Eraser stated as he picked up his sleeping bag. Now that you've all been shown and told how to apply to your internships, it's time for that special informatics course I told you about. You're picking you hero names. Eraser explained blandly. The class then erupted in celebration, which is quickly silenced by a glare. Now remember, these hero names are intended to be only temporary, but you had better choose extremely carefully when picking them, because if you screw up you may end up hating it later, and if that happens. Eraser began explaining, only to be interrupted by the door swinging open. Or they'll be hell to pay. Midnight sang as she entered the room, striking a pose. Seeing as I am absolutely terrible at picking hero names, you'll be overseen by Midnight for this informatics course. Eraser stated as he dozed off in his sleeping bag. Midnight then got to work straight away, handing out whiteboards to the students before grabbing a remote and changing the screen to show a set of rules. Rule 1. Your hero name can be no longer than 3 words, though this may include adverbs such as the or of. Rule 2. Your hero name cannot allude to violent actions. Examples: murder, kill, massacre, assault, death, etc. Rule 3. Your hero name must be in the native language. Rule 4. Your hero name cannot contain slurs of any nature, insults, allude to negative historical events, or references to memes. The rules were pretty solid and made sense. The students then immediately got to work writing their hero names. Some were good, such as Rebellious Hero, Punk Rock, Rainy Season Hero, Froppy, and Anti-Gravity Hero, Uravity. Some needed alterations, such as Red Riot being changed to Red Rock to avoid copyright issues, Alien Queen being changed to Queen Amino for potential relations to a murderous monster, and I Can't Stop Twinkling being changed to Dazzling Hero, Shine Knight, because the name was too long. Others just went with their names, such as Iida and Shoto. But then came the 2 names everyone was curious about, Toki's and Midoriya's. Toki went with Hydro Hero, Aqua Dancer, which was immediately approved. Then Izuku took the podium with his name, Quirkless Hero, Hunter, which Midnight tried to debate, but was persuaded to let him keep it. Lunchroom. After picking their hero names, lectures began and noting of note occurred until lunchtime rolled around, when the class congregated in the lunchroom and began comparing hero offers. Number 49, Meltdown. You guys got anyone higher than that? Mina bragged. I've got one, number 38, Fourth Kind. Kirishima replied, causing Mina to pout. I got an offer from Iwabami. She's ranked 36th. Momo joined in happily. As this was joined on, Izuku was sifting through his stack of offers until he came across one he thought was impossible. Read him and weep, guys. Rank 7 Mirko. Izuku victoriously stated as he slapped down the sheet in front of everyone to their utter shock. Mirko was a hero well known for her lone wolf attitude and refusal to work with others, so sending internship offer was something unheard of for her. Yet here it was plain as day. Oh, come on, Midoriya bro. Who could possibly beat that? Kirishima complained. I think I win. Todoroki interjected, showing an offer from his father, the eternal number 2 in Japan. He was then declared the winner, and everyone moved on. As the debates over who to internship with continued, Izuku found himself being hounded by his classmates for help, primarily due to his analytical capabilities to break down people's quirks and skills, and he was more than happy to help out. He directed many of his classmates to internships he felt best suited them based on personality, skill set, quirks, and general vibe. So, wait, Iwabami just does TV? Momo asked Izuku. Yeah, I mean she still aids in capture missions, but she's really more well known for being a TV personality for charities than her boots on the ground hero work. She probably only sent an offer because you're pretty. Izuku explained, causing Momo to blush, but also reject the heroine's offer. Izuku then recommended Facum to her, and she accepted. He also pushed Mineta away from accepting MT Lady's offer, seeing as she's a new hero and is probably just doing it for credit. He left out the fact of how he didn't really like her as a hero. As the conversation about internships wound down, the conversation then moved to one of Izuku's favorite topics, quirks. Specifically, Toki's quirk, Aqua Hand. Izuku once again produced his hero almanac from somewhere. No one saw it on him, and asked her every question he could about it. She explained that she could draw water from any source, be it a body of water or plant life, in a radius of 10 meters. She could control her water as 4 separate streams, each weighing in a kilogram, which explained why they hurt so much when Mina got hit by them. She could use them defensively, like with her aqua ring technique she showed off in the sports festival, as well as offensively, like when she used the WHPS. Izuku asked her questions such as, could she control ice or water vapor since they're just different states of water? Could she mold her water streams into different shapes like blades of additional limbs? Could she use the streams like platforms or wings to fly? And could take water from humans to dehydrate people? The answer to most of these questions were I don't know, but she's thanked him for giving her so many new ideas. As lunchtime ended, however, Izuku noticed that Iida had been rather silent. He looked over at the speedster and saw that he was brooding heavily as he stared intently at his application sheet. It said normal hero, manual, a hero with water abilities based in Hosu. Oh no, Izuku thought to himself as Iida left. Eraserhead's office. Sir, I need to speak with you about Iida. Izuku states. Train. As Izuku rode the train to his destination, who couldn't help but think of Iida and what he'd told Aizawa. Flashback. All right, Midoriya. What is it you wanted to talk about concerning Iida? Eraser asked. Sir, I think Iida's going after Stain. Izuku stated, shocking Eraser. Explain. Eraser requested. As you know, he's chosen to train under Manual, right? Izuku states. Right, what of it? Eraser asked. Manual, a hero whose quirk manipulates water and knows nothing of how to train a speedster, a hero located in Hosu, where the hero killer is thought to still be located. Izuku bluntly explains as Eraser gets the picture. Thank you for telling me this, Midoriya. I'll take care of it. Go prepare for your internship. Eraser replied. I'm counting on you, sir. I don't want to see my friend's obituary in the paper. Izuku states as he leaves Eraser's office. End of flashback. I really hope Eraser can assuage Iida from going to Hosu, because if he can't, Iida will end up dead. Izuku thought to himself as he looked at the email Mirko had sent him containing the location she was based at. Abandoned building. This can't be the place, right? Izuku thought to himself as he looked at an abandoned and condemned building. He rechecked the email he got from Mirko and his phone to make sure he was in the right place. Yup, he was in the right place. He decided to enter, but didn't let his guard down for a second as he did so. As he did, he felt an aura of killing intent emanating from one of the rooms on the 4th floor. Not lethal intent, more of a hostile intent. He quickly figured that this was trap and decided to spring it. Upon entering the room that was emanating the aura, he immediately moved out the way of an attack from above. Nice reflexes, kid. A woman's voice states. He turns to see the rabbit heroine herself, Mirko, looking at him with fire in her eyes. I take it I passed your little test then? Izuku asked as the heroine grinned menacingly. Not yet, she replied before jumping at him and performing an overhead kick, which Izuku redirected to his left, causing the floor to concave under the force of the blow. Those weird moves you got there, kid. You got a name for those wacky martial arts are yours, or did you just call him something lame like deflection style? She asked mockingly to test his resolve and the thickest of his skin. I call that technique water stream rock smashing fist. He replied. Hardcore name, kid. I like it. Question though, how do you immediately know where I was? She replied as she dropped her combat stance. I can sense the killing intent of individuals, so your hostile nature acted as a beacon for me to home in on. Izuku explained as he too calmed down. Neat trick, that'd make finding bad guys real easy. She replied. So out of curiosity, why did you send me an internship offer? I mean, I know you refuse top work with people, but why train someone? Izuku asked curiously. 'Cause my agent told me to. She replied, bluntly startling Izuku and angering him. Excuse me? He asked incredulously. Yeah, my agent had a go at me recently saying my brand wasn't popular or showcase humility and junk. I don't know, I listened to half of it. Eventually, she just straight up ordered me to send an internship offer, and you seemed like a decent fighter. She explained bluntly. So you picked the quirkless kid for the brownie points, huh? Izuku stated indignantly. Well, when you put it like it makes sound like total beach. Mirko replies casually. Then I take it you're not going to take this internship seriously then? Izuku asks angrily. Listen, kid, you might be tougher than the average hero student, but that doesn't mean you're good enough for me. Mirko replies arrogantly. How about a wager then? Izuku asks, getting the rabbit hero's attention. Go on. She replied with a spark in her eye. We fight each other. If I win, you take this internship seriously and teach me. You win, I teach you killing intent and give you a perfect review. Izuku states with a grin. You sure, kid. You know these muscles aren't for show, right? She replied cockily as she smacked her left thigh, which was practically solid muscle. I'm well aware of your strength as both a hero and as a fighter, which is why I know I'll win. Izuku replied with a smug smile. Oh, you are on, kid. She replies with a crazed smile. The two of them then took martial arts stances and gazed at one another, silently daring one another to make the first move. Hope your handwriting's neat, kid, 'cause that review's gonna be long and praising. Mirko states before launching at Izuku. She unleashed a devastating kick that normally would shatter bone, but Izuku blocked it easily, causing the heroine to smile. This was going to be fun. She then rebounded of his arms and attempted to sweep his legs, but he jumped over the sweep and performed a jump flip kick similar to the one Mirko used earlier. She dodged the kick with a one-handed handstand and tried another kick, but this time Izuku deflected and struck her in the torso, sending the heroine into a concrete wall before following up with a punch that sent her through said wall. I underestimated you, kid. You're actually tougher than I thought. Guess those moves former the sports festival weren't just flukes. She replied as she recovered from the attacks. I can tell you're holding back 'cause you don't want to kill me, but you could at least try and get serious. That is why you chose to meet me in this dilapidated building, isn't it? To fight without fear of property damages or civilians. Izuku replies smugly with a grin of satisfaction. He was finally fighting a true martial artist on his level. All right, kid, you asked for it. Luna Arc, she replied before using one of her iconic named moves. She leapt into the air and came down with so much force she collapsed the 6th floor into the 5th floor. She then jumped back up to get Izuku whilst he was falling, only for Izuku to use his legs to redirect her into the wall and land safely. When he landed, she used the wall she'd been directed into as a jumping-off post to enhance her next attack. Luna Arrow, she cried out as she rocketed towards Izuku like an arrow from a bow. But Izuku countered with his own attack, though it only grazed her as she flew past him. However, blur, As she landed, she suddenly began to spit up BLD. That was another technique of mine, the exploding heart release fist. As you see, it's quite dangerous. Even a small graze can incapacitate lesser fighters. Want to give up? Izuku explained before asking for her SBMSN. Not a chance, kid. I'm having way too much fun. She replied before leaping into a punch attack, which Izuku dodged by moving to the side. Izuku took advantage of her missed strike to elbow Mirko in the gut hard, then raised that same arm to punch her in the face with back of his fist. He then grabbed the arm of the stunned hero and threw her over his shoulder, slamming her into the floor hard enough to crack it. I think you know this move, Izuku stated as he then leapt in the air in a familiar fashion. Luna Arc, he cried out, as he perfectly recreated her Luna Arc kick and landed it on her. She guarded with her arms, but the attack was infused with the exploding relate technique, causing shockwaves to permeate throughout her body and caused the floor beneath them to collapse into the next floor of the building, and then the next, and kept going until they hit the dilapidated building's basement. Her vision then went dark as a result. Moments or hours, she didn't know. Later, she then opened her eyes to see Izuku looking down at her, and she smiled. She'd lost, yet she couldn't be happier. Haha, great job, Kit. Hey, what's your name, by the way? I never asked. She stated, much to Izuku's surprise. Midoriya, Izuku. He replied as she got back up. No, I meant your hero name, Kit. She's clarified as she dusted herself off. The quirkless hero, Hunter. He replied valiantly. Brilliant. She replied with a smile. So, does this mean you're going to take my training seriously now? Izuku asked hopefully. Yeah, you passed the test, Kit. She replied casually, and Izuku smiled, knowing he'd at least earned some respect from the heroine. The twin then shook hands and left the building. Street patrol. After leaving the building, Mirko immediately took Izuku, or Hunter as they were on the job, on patrol. According to her, seeing heroes on patrol made the populace feel safe and was the best way to get into the fights with villains apparently. Throughout the day, the two of them did a few odds and ends around the prefecture, stopping minor crimes such as robberies and assaults, halting a speeding truck by kicking it, and beating up a few back alley toughs who were trying to extort money from some old people. Eventually, however, something a lot bigger came up, a little bigger. As they were walking down the street, they passed by an alleyway, and little girl with white hair, eyes, and a horn ran into Izuku's leg, crying her eyes out. Please help me, the girl asked through a fearful voice, and Izuku immediately responded. Hey, SSSHHH, it's okay. Are you lost, little girl? He asked calmly, but he noticed something. The girl's arms and legs were covered in ragged bandages with scars peeking out, and she was wearing what looked to be a piece of sackcloth as a dress. Hey kitty, what's going on? Mirko asked, but before Izuku could answer, another voice piped up. Oh, there you are, Eri. Thank you, heroes, for finding my daughter. A voice states, and the two of them see who it is. Before them stand a man around 5.10 and half feet tall, with dark brow layer and golden eyes. The man wore a strange outfit consisting of black jeans with a brown belt, a black shirt with a white tie, white sneakers, an ugly dark green jacket with a gaudy purple fur neck lining, white gloves, and most distinct of all, a strange brown and gold plague mask over his mouth. But above all, the thing that stuck out the most was the sheer killing intent this man was emitting. Both Mirko and Izuku could practically taste this man's murderous intentions through their skill and instincts. And just who might you be? Mirko asked as she stood in front of Izuku, and the girl called Eri. As I said, I'm that little girl's father, and I've been looking for her. Now, if you wouldn't mind giving her back, I'd greatly appreciate it, the man states as he tries to go around the heroine only to be pushed back. You really think we're that stupid, don't you? She states with a grin, causing the man to glare and take a step back. Meanwhile, Izuku was comforting Eri. It's going to be okay. You hear me, eh? You'll be fine. He reassures her kindly. No, he's going to kill you like all the rest. Eri states as she closes her eyes as if waiting for the inevitable. Izuku immediately recognized how terrified she appeared to be of the man, that along with the scars, showed obvious signs of abuse. He desperately wanted to break the guy's face, but right now he was focused on comforting Eri. Then he saw something. As the man and Mirko were conversing, the man's white disintegrated and reformed into wristbands. His fingers then splayed out as if he was about to grab something. Then it hit him, Mirko. Before he could speak, the man suddenly lunged at Mirko with both hands at considerable speed. Mirko moved. He can manipulate matter just by touching it. Izuku cried out as he put down Eri and inserted himself between the man and his teacher. He swiftly used Water Stream Rock's smashing fist to redirect the man's attack by striking his wrists, forcing him to hit the wall, causing it to be destroyed at the molecular level. Mirko then intervened and kicked the man in the chest so hard he was thrown into the side of a dumpster, more than likely breaking a few ribs. Thanks for the save, Hunter, but now you need to leave. Get the girl to safety. I'll take care of Creepy here, Mirko stated as something horrific happened. The man touched his own chest, and it exploded in a burst of gore, but then instantly reformed good as new. The man then looked at his now dirty jacket and looked at them with an incensed look in his eyes. You filthy, diseased heroes dare to get my perfectly clean jacket dirty. I'll kill you for that. The man cried out in fury as he rushed them again. Izuku took the hint and ran with Eri in his arms, whilst Mirko began fighting the guy. He only got a few meters before the ground morphed, stopping his escape. Izuku looked back and saw the man touching the ground. Apparently, his matter manipulation had so ranged to it brilliant, just brilliant. The man then got a kick to the head courtesy of Mirko and launched spikes at her to counter. The fight then spilled into the open streets and, unfortunately, began drawing the attention of civilians, who then began to road around and start filming and taking pictures with their phones. Did these people think this was safe or something? As the battle wore on, and as Izuku watched as Mirko fight the madman with matter manipulation, it revealed a few things to him. This guy had no idea how to fight properly and was just using his quirk wildly to create spikes and attempt to blow up Mirko. This guy was really stingy when it came out cleanliness and hygiene, as he kept yelling out filth and disease, and Mirko wasn't changing her patterns. Eventually, however, Mirko's patterns were read by the madman, and he got her with one of his spikes. It was only really a graze, but it threw her off kilter just enough for him to start moving in for the kill. Eri, I need to go help my teacher, Izuku stated, causing the girl to grab hold of him even tighter. No, he'll kill you like the others who tried to save me, he cried as tears rolled down her face. He won't kill me, I promise. In fact, I pinky promise, Izuku replies as he holds out his pinky finger. Pinky promise? She replied, confused. It's a promise you can't break. So I pinky promise I'll be back, Izuku explains as he offers her his pinky, and she uses hers to make the promise. Thanks, Eri, he states as he places her down and dashes off to aid his teacher. Speaking of his teacher, Mirko was in a bind as she had taken a few hits from the sudden erupting spikes and was bleeding slightly. But then, it got worse as one pierced through her foot and caused a sharp pain to stun her. The madman took his chance and went in for the kill, only for Izuku to literally jump in and kick him square in the face, breaking his mask and a few teeth. You filthy, diseased creatures dare to touch me, the madman shouts incredulously as he fixes his broken teeth in a gory fashion. I'll have you know I'm fully vaccinated. Thank you very much, Izuku retorts cheekily. Not that, you morons. I'm talking about the sickness of quirks. The madman screams angrily, causing fear amongst the civilians. What the hell are you going on about? Mirko asks. Quirks are a disease that has infected and besmirched what it means to be human. If you can even call yourself human, you disgusting mutant, the madman explains, causing gasps amongst the civilians and causing Mirko to get angry. What about you? You clearly have a quirk. Doesn't that mean you're also diseased, as you keep saying? And why are you so desperate to get Eri back? How does that play into your ideology, huh? Izuku asked angrily. That little monster is the cure to the illness of quirks. And once I've purged the world of the filth, the Yakuza will rise again with the Shai Hasaikai as its vanguard. Now give her back, the madman states and screams as Eri hides in terror of him and the crowd protect her. But that didn't stop him as he rushed the crowds, fully intent on killing anyone who got in his way, only to be intercepted by both Hunter and Mirko, who began laying into him from multiple different directions. Hunter and Mirko ganged up of the madman with viciousness and ferocity, using every technique they had to inflict as much pain as they could upon the lunatic. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. It was an unending tide of punches and kicks, all caught on camera by the civilians. By the end of the beatdown, the man was laying in a crumpled mess on the street, bleeding heavily, but was still trying to crawl towards Eri. "You accursed little MMHH monster, I'll never stop until you're back where you belong in a cage." He cried out pathetically, trying to stand before Yuzuku delivered one final punch, burying his fist in the man's gut, knocking him out cold. After the battle, the authorities showed up to arrest the man, as well as get any injured to the hospital. This meant both Mirko and Eri. Hospital. On their way to, and once they arrived at the hospital, Eri clung to Izuku like a barnacle to a ship. This fear was worsened when a doctor came to try and help Eri, but she freaked out, and her horn began to glow. She immediately pushed Izuku away, saying about making him disappear, causing him to drip her onto one of the beds until the glowing stopped, and she passed out. Explosion rocked the area, causing Mirko and Hunter to race towards its source. When they arrived, they saw hell. The street was ablaze, people were injured. Oh, and there were 3 Nomu rampaging. "What the hell are those things?" Mirko asks, disgusted at the creatures. "They look like Nomu," Izuku replied. "Nomu?" was her response, having no clue what that actually meant. "The thing the League of Villains used when they attacked UA. It was a bioengineered monster with multiple quirks," Izuku explains, causing Mirko to smile. "Then that there's no need full hold back," she replies as she jumps towards which had similar skin to the USJ Nomu, but had no eyes or top jaw. Seeing as Mirko had given no additional orders, Izuku/Hunter also jumped at one of the Nomu. This one had 4 eyes, bluish skin, and a lanky frame. He saw no reason to let it live, so immediately used Whirlwind Iron Cutting Fist to try and slice it to bits. Unfortunately, something unexpected happened. The Nomu somehow absorbed the slicing winds and then released it back at Izuku, covering him in cuts. SHD. Well, that didn't work. "You've got some kind of absorption and release ability, don't you?" Izuku theorizes as he tends to his wounds. The cuts weren't lethal or even deep, but they stung like hell and let out a bit of BLD. Nothing a quick meal won't fix, but still. "This thing's tough, and it can rebound my attacks back at me, meaning I can't use Whirlwind Iron Cutting or Exploding Heart Release, and using Water Rock Smashing probably won't do much unless it can't absorb its own attacks," Izuku surmises as he analyzes the creature's ability whilst dodging its physical attacks easily. Then, he got a quick idea as he remembered a few other techniques he knew. This thing may be able to absorb and release, but how much can it absorb or release at once? A question that he'll be answered using a bit of fighting spirit. He looked around and saw a sporting goods store with a broken window. "That'll work," he thinks to himself as he dived through the window. The Nomu watched as Izuku entered, and then left the shop, with a metal bat in hand and hoisted over his shoulder. "Today is just not your day, pal," Izuku states before charging the Nomu full force and smacking it in the face and knocking out some teeth. The Nomu then released the kinetic energy through its face back at Izuku using a punch, causing a ripple throughout its body. It had a weakness. Izuku then attacked again, and again, and again, and again, and again, before using a technique that was once used against him. Savage Tornado. He cries out as he uses centripetal force to spin at high speed whilst unleashing a barrage of attacks. The attacks were all absorbed and released, but every time they did, the Nomu's body rippled more and more, until it suddenly ripped open under the force of the ripples. That rip was followed by another and another until the monster quirk tore its body apart. And that is fighting spirit, thanks Metal Bat wherever you are. Izuku mutters to himself as he looks at the Nomu's corpse. Gross. He states before touring to see that Mirko had pulverized her Nomu and the other heroes had the fires contained. That just left. "Kit, look out." Mirko cried out, pointing above Izuku, but it was too late. The flying Nomu grabbed him and flew off at significant speed. "Sorry, pal, but I'm not a fan of air travel," Izuku states as he grabs the monster leg and breaks it like a twig, causing the monster to drop him directly in front of an alleyway where something significant was occurring. Alleyway. Stain stood over his current prey, a fake who dares to claim the title of hero, and the brother of Ingenium out for revenge, another fake. He was just about to purge the filth before a new Aoi arrived from the sky. He looked injured and familiar, yet his instincts told him to be weary of him. "Who are you?" Stain asked, trying to deduce where he'd seen the young man before. "The quirkless hero, Hunter, and you are the hero killer, Stain," Izuku replied confidently, but then saw his friend on the ground. "Iida?" What the hell are you doing here? He asked his friend. Midoriya, this is none of your concern. This is my fight, so leave. Iida replies with some venom as he desperately tried to get up. From what I can tell, you ain't doing SHD, but lying there. Take 5, I've got this. Izuku replies with a smirk, much to Iida's frustration. That's who you are. Stain suddenly yells. Me? Izuku asks, confused. Yes, you, the one who said the sports festival was foolish and dangerous, the one who spat in the face of HPSC. Yes, you are the one, but first, why do you want to be a hero, boy? Stain explains before pointing his sword at Izuku and asking his test question. Because people like me need one. There are dozens of fantastic heroes out there, but none are quirkless. 20% of the population is unrepresented, and I aim to change that. I aim to be a symbol of hope for people like me, just as All Might stands a symbol of peace. Now on to a question of mine. Why do you kill heroes? Izuku explains before asking his own question, and Stain's face light up with delight. Fanatic, yes. Utterly incredible, you a true hero. As reward for your noble goal, I shall answer your question. I don't kill heroes. I kill fakes who dare call themselves heroes because they besmirch the title with their greed and selfishness. I kill them to cull this revolting industry or glory hogs and reckless fools. I kill them as to create a return of true heroes, just like All Might. Does that answer your question? Stain replies, articulating his response with charisma. I get it now, you're a fanboy. Izuku replied, catching everyone else off guard. Excuse me? Stain asks, confused. You're an All Might fanboy. No shame, I'm one too, but logic is utterly flawed, Stain. Izuku replied forcefully. Flawed? Stain gasped, getting angry. Did it ever occur to you that those supposedly greedy fakes may have just been trying to survive in a frankly oversaturated market? And what about the families of those you kill? Ever consider how proud they felt when their relatives became heroes, only heeded that you snuffed them out? Hell, the way you're talking, it sounds like you hate the fact that heroes are allowed to be happy and put food on the table. Izuku asked incredulously. He could understand where the nutter was coming from, however, as he'd know plenty of fake heroes in his old world, but he never killed anyone, at least, not purposefully. The memories of Terio's lifeless body flashes in his mind. But with Izuku's healthier outlook on life, along with Garou's pragmatism, he'd consolidated and come to terms with that fact that, well, heroes are people just like everyone else. They're flawed, they need to eat, and sometimes require validation. They're not all Superman, all Boy Scouts who are utterly infallible and can survive of the sun's rays alone. Stain's ideology, however, none of that matters. A true hero shouldn't be happy or wealthy. They need to fully dedicate themselves to the life or quit. Stain replies venomously. That's dumb, was Izuku's blunt reply before being interrupted. Enough debating. Those fakes need to die? If you move, I will let live, seeing as you are a true hero, but get in my way and I'll gut you too. Stain yells, getting softer and more sinister as he told Izuku to move or die. Not a chance. Besides, I wouldn't be a true hero if I let someone die now, would I? Izuku replies as he put himself in Stain's path. The hero killer glared then. He asked the doctor if he could stay, and they agreed, seeing as she appeared to only trust Izuku. And Mirko was also in the same room as Eri, being checked out, and she vouched for him to stay. What the hell was small that about? Izuku asked Mirko as he tucked Eri into the medical cot. Kid, I have absolutely no f***ing clue. That guy was insane, she replied as she remembered the madman's words. He kept calling quirks diseases, which makes no sense. You can't evolve to be diseased, and quirks aren't genetic illnesses, they're a natural evolution. At least according to current science, that is. Izuku states, trying to figure out the ramblings of Madman. Kid, don't try that. That analysis thing. You're only gonna end as mad as that nutcase is trying to follow his logic. Mirko states wisely. You're right. It's just what makes someone think like that in the first place. Izuku speculates. No clue, though he did yell about the Yakuza or something. Maybe he's angry that they're practicing extinct and wants to return to their glory days. Mirko suggests. Yeah, you're probably right, and you know what? It's best not to think about it right now, because currently we have an entirely different issue on our hands. Izuku replies as he points to Eri. Yeah, that poor girl. I can't imagine what she's been through. Mirko replies softly as she looks at the little girl, sleeping, remembering her own rough upbringing. Eri would eventually wake up in a cold sweat, clearly having had a nightmare. and crying, causing Yuzuku to immediately comfort her and calm her down. SSSHHH, SSSHHH, it's okay. I'm still here, Eri. He calmly stated as he hugged her, and she buried her face in his chest crying. I thought it was all a dream. You really saved me. She cried, taking breaths as she cried, as Izuku stroked her hair maternally. Yeah, I did. You're safe now, Eri, and no one's going to hurt you ever again. I promise. Izuku told her kindly, and she looked up at him. Pinky promise? She asked as she raised her pinky finger. Pinky promise. He replied as he extended his own pinky to shake hers, as Mirko just looked on with a smile. You're going to be a brilliant hero, kid. She thought to herself, not wanting to spoil the moment. Third-person POV. Over the next couple of days, the three of them stayed at the hospital as Mirko healed, and Eri was checked out by the staff. After the freak-out, Izuku asked the staff to not wear their doctor's uniforms when interacting with Eri, and they happily complied, recognizing the girl's trauma. And Izuku told Eri that the people here were actually doctors, not the fake ones under the madman. Speaking of the madman, Mirko got a report on him and shared it. The guy's name was Kai Chisaki, aka Overhaul. His quirk was also called Overhaul, and it let him control matter at the molecular level. He was the current head of the Shai Hasaikai branch of the Remnant Yakuza. He had a clean rap sheet, but was currently under investigation for the suspected murders of 12 heroes and 31 civilians. As for his current crimes, he was currently being shipped off to Tartarus to await trial for severe child abuse, and his chances of escaping looked slim. But moving away from that psycho, over the next 3 days, Izuku and Mirko would grow rather close to Eri as they told her stories of their lives. Mirko's, of course, were toned-down, censored versions, but were still interesting to the young girl, and she loved whenever Izuku talked about high classmates at UA. They all sounded so nice and kind. But whenever the two of them tried to get Eri to talk about her life, she'd clam up and cry, muttering about being a monster and something about being given to Kai. Eventually, however, Mirko recovered and was discharged from the hospital. Eri begged them to stay, but they couldn't, seeing as Mirko had a job to do and Izuku needed to learn. Though both of them did pinky promise to visit every day, which calmed Eri down. Hell, Mirko even gave her the hero communication device she never used so she could call them. Unfortunately, however, it wouldn't be long before it was used. It was less than 4 hours after leaving the hospital when the communicator went off and Izuku and Mirko rushed back to the hospital. When they arrived, they found Eri's door under guard by police and 2 heroes Izuku recognized as working for Sir Nightai, All Might's former and only sidekick. They all tried to stop them from entering, but Mirko barged in and saw Nightai manhandling Eri as she was crying, demanding she give answers to something. As soon as he saw them, however, he dropped Eri back on her bed, causing her to hide under the covers, and demands to know why they're here, only for Mirko to punch him in the face so hard it broke his glasses, as well as causing bruising and swelling in his cheek. Izuku rushed to Eri's side and hugged her whilst speaking soothing words. Nightai tried to scold them for something about ruining his investigation, but Mirko was having none of it and told him to F off after telling Izuku to cover Eri's ears. The former sidekick then stormed on, muttering something imperceptible. The rest of the day plus the following day, Izuku and Mirko just trained in a nearby park, close to the hospital, not trusting Nightai to not come back. However, on Friday, Mirko got a priority call from Hosu and shared it with Izuku. They were requested to aid in hunting the hero killer. They made another pinky promise to Eri to be back as soon as possible and asked the hospital to not let anyone in her room. Police station. When the two of them arrived at the station in Hosu, the atmosphere was heavy to say the least. As they entered, they saw multiple groups of heroes, including Endeavor and his flaming sidekickers, along with Todoroki. The two students shared a look that spoke 1,000 words and followed their respective teachers into the briefing room. The room itself was filled to the brim with heroes of all varieties, fighter, to trackers, to capturers, to stealthy types, to investigators. Then, as everyone was taking their seats, another person entered the room, a man with the head of a beagle dressed in high-ranking police attire. This was Kenji Tsurigami, the chief of Hosu Police. With his entry, the meeting began, and it started strong. The chief explained that they'd be hunting the hero killer Stain, and that now was the time to leave if anyone felt they weren't up to the task. Naturally, no one left the room, and the chief continued. He explained that evidence pointed to Stain still being in Hosu due to past encounters, and Izuku silently agreed, as his theory matched with then police theory that Stain killed at least 3 heroes per city before moving on, and he'd only killed 2 in Hosu, only crippling ingenium. After the meeting, Izuku flagged down Todoroki to make sure he was doing okay under his father. Surprisingly, Todoroki said he was fine. Apparently, Endeavor was a decent teacher, and he was making an effort to teach his son pyrokinesis. Though he suspected it was because of his loss to Izuku at the sports festival, as according to Todoroki, Endeavor would occasionally mumble about a hymn in reference to the festival. Hosu Prefecture. After leaving the station, the heroes all split up with their respective sidekicks and interns to search for Stain. The night was surprisingly calm, no robberies, no hoodlums infesting the streets, and no public drunkards wandering around. A rather peachy night until it suddenly wasn't. Kaboom! Dashed at Izuku. Sword raised ready to strike him down. Izuku immediately caught the sword betwixt his fingers and snapped it like it made of plastic, much to the killer's surprise. Before Stain could react, Izuku punched him in the face hard, sending him into a tumble. I know that wasn't enough to stop you, Izuku states as he approached the killer, remaining cautious of his killing intent. Then suddenly Stain jolted up and slashed at Izuku with a knife, drawing a tiny drop of BLD. He then did something unexpected. He liked it. Suddenly, Izuku's body fell limp to the ground, unable to move. What the hell is this? Paralysis? From ingesting BLD? Cool, but also gross, but also really cool and useful. Izuku thought to himself as he tried to move as Stain walked past him, intent on killing Iida and the other hero. You're not getting off that easily, but come on, body, adapt. Izuku thought to himself as he summoned up his indomitable will to fight the paralysis. Know that you will die for a greater cause, Stain announced as he began to plunge his knife at Iida's back, only for a noise behind him to draw his attention. He looked back only to be met with a fist to the face, which caused him to stumble into the street. As Stain recovered, he looked back to see who had punched him, and what he saw terrified him. Midoriya was standing again. Impossible. Even if you had type BLD, you'd still be down for at least 5 minutes, but you were barely down for a single minute. How? Stain demanded, unable to comprehend anyone other than All Might resisting his power. Stain then saw some of Midoriya's BLD that had sprayed over the alley as he'd fallen, and liked it again. Izuku's body jerked in response, and almost fell, but remained defiantly upright. Stain tried over and over, liking every bit of BLD he could find, but every time Midoriya resisted it. How? How are you resisting my quirk? Tell me. Stain demanded an answer. F you, that's how. Izuku replied bluntly, whilst his body shook as it adapted to Stain's paralysis. Little by little, I'm overcoming this obstacle, just like before, Izuku thought to himself as he walked towards the serial killer, whilst remembering his encounter with Juro and their psychokinesis. Ready for round 2? Izuku asks as he tackles the killer further into the streets. From that moment forward, Stain was a complete disadvantage. He was nowhere near strong enough or skilled enough to contend with Midoriya. Every attack he threw was deflected and countered easily. But not only that, his quirk had no effect on him anymore. Even when Stain bit down on Izuku and ingested a significant amount of BLD, his opponent's body only slightly flinched. It was as if he was adapting to the paralysis somehow. After 6 straight minutes of beat down the other heroes, several civilians, and the media finally showed up and surrounded Stain, who at this point could only stand through sheer willpower. Looks like you lose, Stain. You and your gifts from the league, Izuku states confidently. Do not associate me and my philosophy with that pathetic man-child. Stain rebukes viciously, to Izuku's surprise as well as the surprise of the heroes who thought Stain was in league with the league. So you're not working with the league? Then why are the Nomu attacking? Izuku asks. How should I know the mind of that man-child? He's completely mad, and all he craves is destruction without reason or purpose. To him, the thought of destruction is enough to set these things loose upon the innocent. He had no ambition, nor morals, or even a plan beyond destruction unending. Stain explains in front of the media, who broadcast it to the nation. At this point, Endeavor steps forward to claim the glory. Surrender, hero killer, or face the flames of justice. Endeavor bellows for the cameras. This action completely sets Stain off. Endeavor, you utter fake. I'll kill you. He screamed as he drew another knife and glared daggers at the hero. Not if I end you first, villain. The flame hero replied as he charged forward. You utter fool. The only person who can kill me is All Might. Stain screamed as his killing intent manifested, and every hero caught in it froze except for one. Izuku, seeing the effect Stain's aura was having, then began emitting his own killing intent to counter the hero killers. As Stain was subjected to Izuku's killing intent, he began to tremble. He began to feel small. He began to feel fear as Midoriya's aura overwhelmed his own. It was massive and heavy. It bore into his psyche and soul, causing his instincts to scream at him to run away. But he couldn't feel his legs. His blood ran cold as fear engulfed his very consciousness, until Aya Ahawa. Stain let out a wail of terror as his eyes to roll into the back of head and for his mouth to start foaming before falling to the ground. The sheer pressure of Midoriya's killing intent fully unleashed completely overwhelmed the hero killer's mind, causing him to faint out of utter terror. The heroes quickly recovered from the aura's effects and got to work, cordoning off the civilians, arresting Stain, and aiding Iida and the other hero. Hospital. A couple hours later, Izuku and Iida found themselves in the hospital together, and Izuku was said, "Why were you in Hosu, Iida? If your reply is revenge, I will slap you." Izuku tells his friend, who looks distraught, "I wasn't supposed to be in Hosu." He replies to Izuku's surprise, "What about Manuel? Where was he? I know he was your only choice." Izuku states, "Manuel retracted his offer to me for unknown reasons. I instead went with a friend of my brother's, a hero named Speed Burst." Iida explained to Izuku, "We were on our way to another city to help with a drag gang when the train was attacked by a Nomu. I was told to aid the civilians, which I did, but I then heard a cry for help I couldn't ignore as a potential hero." Iida continued, "When I arrived, I saw Stain standing over Native about to kill him, and I lost myself in anger. I attacked him and was defeated. I'm sorry that you know how much of a disappointment I am now." Iida finished with a crushed look on his face. "Look, Iida, I don't know what to say to make you feel better, other than use this experience and learn from it." Izuku states, wisely getting a smile out of his friend. "Thank you, Midoriya. You are a true friend." Iida replies, "Call me Izuku. Now, if you don't mind, I need to go check on a little unicorn girl." Izuku stated vaguely to Iida confusion. The next day, after visiting Eri with Mirko again, being told he'd get credit for beating Stain since he's quirkless and broke no vigilante laws by the Hosu chief, and learning of Iida's punishment, Izuku decided to take a walk to clear his head. He was strolling through Hosu, not really thinking about where he was going, thinking about how hectic his life had become in only a few weeks. The USJ, the Nomu, and now Stain. It was like he was a protagonist in a rushed manga, facing foe after foe without slowing down. Hopefully now he could relax, and someone please help me. Well, so much for that. He rushed towards the cry for help and found himself in front of yet another alleyway. Thankful no serial killers this time, no. Actually, it was worse, quirkists. He saw 3 thuggish men in leather coats, all sporting logos of the CRC, or Creature Rejection Clan. Izuku had heard of the clan and how they dedicated themselves to the purity of the human race through the extermination of all non-human mutants. They were, in essence, a cult of bigoted xenophobic lunatics who killed people who didn't fit what they called standard human, as if that term meant anything even before quirks caused mutations. The thugs were currently harassing a woman with what looked to be fox-like features and light teal blue skin. Now, despite not being an official hero, Izuku could still intervene as he had no quirk to commit acts of vigilantism with, at least under current law. So he immediately decided to set in. And not a moment too soon, as one of the thugs raised a crowbar to strike the woman. Thankfully, he wouldn't get the chance as Izuku grabbed the weapon and wrenched it from his hands. "What the hell are you doing?" he asked the thugs, causing them to turn their attention to him. "We should be asking you that, kid. Why the hell do you stop me from ending this filthy mutant's life?" One of the thugs with a blonde crew cut asks. "Because saving someone who's in trouble is always the right thing to do," Izuku states firmly. "Pretty sure that only applies to humans, kid. But this beach ain't human, she's a monster." Another thug, this time with oily black hair, states, "The only inhuman things I see here are you 3 pathetic cowards." Izuku states as he uses a show of force by tying the crowbar in a knot. "You think you scare us, punk? The last thug, with red spiky hair, asks as his hands ignite in flames. The other two join in with the blonde's arms turning to metal and the oily one producing well oil. The three then attacked Izuku completely in vain, as Izuku saw through all their slow and telegraphed attacks. He went for the blonde thug first, using Water Stream Rock's smashing fist to redirect the thug's punch back into his own face, knocking him out. Next up was the redhead, who launched fireballs at him with punch motions, but Izuku deflected them all easily and grabbed the guy's ear before using the same maneuver he used on Eraserhead during the quirk test. I.e., he pulled the guy into a spinning horizontal position before locking him into a wall. He then focused on the oily thug who hasn't moved yet. He threw a puck at the guy only to have it slid off the guy's face. The thug laughed, thinking he was untouchable, only to be met with another strike, this time infused with exploding heart release. It still only graced the git, but the shockwaves knocked him most easily. Well, that was boring, Izuku states as he goes to check on the woman. Are you alright, miss? He asked as he offered her helping hand. Yes, thank you, I thought I was going to die, she replied in a fearful tone as she stood, revealing her true height and much more. The woman stood around 7 feet tall, had light teal blue skin with a white patch on her bottom jaw going down beyond the rim of her red shirt. Her hair was blonde and short and messy. Her face had fox features like a pointed snout and ears. She seemed to have sharp teeth, and she had darker teal blue eyes. She was also utterly stunning to Izuku. See, the thing was, Izuku liked mutation quirks like he really liked them, and this was reinforced by Garou's love for cool monsters. So this woman standing before them now was probably one of the most appealing women he'd ever seen. Her sheer height was also a plus, seeing as ever since Izuku's growth spurt to 5.10, he was taller than the average Japanese citizen. But ironically, he liked taller women. Are you alright? You're staring. Oh no. It's because you think I'm scary, isn't it? The woman panicked, knocking Izuku out of his stupor. What? Oh no, no, of course not, miss. I was just taken aback by your beauty, actually, he replied, forgetting everything his mom taught him about how to speak to girls. The woman blushed at that, and the conversation became awkward. My name's Izuku Midoriya. What's yours? Izuku asked, hoping to salvage the interaction. Ipan Josie, she replies awkwardly. A pretty name for a pretty woman, Izuku replied as he silently scolded himself for doing it again. No one's called me pretty before, other than my parents. Most people call my appearance monstrous, Ipan states weakly. Then either those people are completely blind, or you're the most appealing monster I've ever seen, Izuku compliments, causing Ipan to blush harder and casing even more awkwardness. Thank you for saving, Ipan quickly stated before rushing off. Oh god, I SCK at this, Izuku thinks to himself as he looks at the 3 knocked out thugs he needs to report in. I'm just thankful no one saw that, and that I'll most likely never see that woman again. A shame, she was really pretty, Izuku thinks to himself as he pulls out his phone and calls Mirko. So, this was the end of part 4 of this series. Stay tuned for next part of this series, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time.